Hey friends, and welcome back to Let's Find Out About It. You all have done about 1,000 of these with me before, so you already know what this time is for. This is a time where we take a topic from the book and we discuss it just a little further. So this week we have been reading Max's Dragon Shirt with Miss Kaylin. And in our last Let's Find Out About It, we started to talk about the sun. So what are some things that we learned about the sun last time, right? We learned that the sun is a star in the sky and that it shines light down on Earth. So it is the source of all of our light, or sunlight. We also learned that our Earth rotates. Let me pull out my handy dandy Earth. We're going to use our imagination again and just imagine that this is Earth, right? And so we talked about how Earth does one full rotation every day. It turns complete. And so the part of Earth that is facing the sun, so this half, they're experiencing daytime, right? In this half, what time of the day are they experiencing? Yes, they're experiencing nighttime because the sunlight is not hitting on this part of the Earth. But as it continues to spin, eventually within the day, they will experience daylight. And so that is how we get our day and our night. So now that we know what the sun is, we know some facts about the sun. Now it's time to learn about the effects of the sun, right? And what can happen because of the sun and because of sunlight. We're going to use this illustration from the book to talk about this a little further. Specifically Max's pants, right? So during the reading, we talked about how Max has experienced a lot with these pants. We know that Ruby is fed up. Ruby wants him to get some new pants. And Ruby is saying these have to go. So not only are these pants super stained, there's holes in them, but they are also faded. You may be wondering, what does that word mean? What does it mean when something is faded? Well, let's take a good look at these brand new pants up here, right? I see that these are similar overalls to Max's pants. And I know that Max's pants looked like these when he first got them, except for this little plaid strip. But the color was the same, right? There weren't any stains, there weren't any holes, and it had this color. So Max's pants are faded because it's not as bright as it used to be. Right here we can see that these brand new pair of pants, they are very bright. It has a darker blue, a nice rich color, right? If you saw it at the store, you want to buy this one. If we look at Max's pants, over time, it went from looking like this to this. It became faded. The color's a lot more dull. It's not as bright, right? So that's what it means when something becomes faded. So you may be wondering, what does Max's pants becoming faded have to do with the sun? We're talking about the sun, right, Miss Khalees? Yes, we are. And friends, the sun did this to Max's pants. The sun is the reason why Max's pants are faded. So I know there's a couple different ways why clothes can become faded over time. One of them is just you put them in a washing machine a whole lot. Over time, those colors start to come out a little bit, right? So that's one way clothes can become a little more dull, not as bright as they used to be. But also, the rays from the sun and sunlight can also be another reason why something becomes faded. So we're going to talk about sunlight art, right? And that's how I'm going to explain some other things. That's how I'm going to explain how the sun can fade something. So the sun not only fades clothes and not only makes your clothes a little lighter, but the sun can also fade paper and construction paper. There are some people who take construction paper and they create art on it by laying different pieces of paper over it and sitting it outside. So I'm going to put two pictures up on the screen, and these are examples of a before and after from sunlight art. So in this first picture, you can see that someone has a brand new piece of construction paper. The color is bright. It's a nice like brown type of color, right? And then on top of it, you can see these flowers in different shapes. And that is another piece of paper that is cut out and placed on top of it. So we have our original piece of paper, just a plain piece of paper. And then you go and take another piece of paper and cut out different shapes, different designs, and lay it on top of your first piece. So that is what the person did in this picture, right? They took one piece of construction paper, cut out some different designs, laid it on top. So again, how does it become faded? Well, just like Max's pants, you put it in the sun. And so after you let it sit out in the sun a lot, you let the sunlight really hit down on the paper, your final result is this second picture. So they went from a completely brown piece of paper to now all of a sudden they lifted their cutout pieces off, right? The cutout pieces are no longer there, but you can still see the shape of all of the different animals and different flowers and stuff that they cut off. So we see that there are darker spots and that there are lighter spots. There are dull browns and then there are bright browns on that construction paper. So I know that the part that was exposed to the sun, or the part that was getting hit with the sun rays, that is the part that is lighter, right? It's bleached now. It's not a rich brown. It's not as bright as it was. The part that wasn't exposed, that was covered, it still has the original color, right? We can still see that original brown of what it used to look like before. And so, just like Max's pants, this paper sat out very long time, and it was just getting hit and hit and hit with the rays of the sunlight, and over time it started to fade. But the person who created this art piece was creative, and they were smart, and they said, maybe if we cover up places and we don't expose them, it won't fade because it's not being exposed to the sunlight. So they created this very cool art piece, and that's something you all can create too. You can take a piece of construction paper, cut out different pieces on it, and you can place those onto your construction paper. Leave it out over time, and so the pieces that are exposed or that are getting hit with the sunlight fade over time. And the pieces that you covered that are not getting hit with the sunlight, they will not fade and they will stay the same bright color. So now we're going to examine another piece of paper that was covered in some areas and exposed in some areas to the sunlight. And you're going to do this activity with Miss Ari. Then after that, you'll come back to Let's Find Out It with me. So enjoy this activity, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Hi friends, welcome to Let's Find Out About It. Today we're going to see what happens when we leave objects in the sun. So a few days ago, I put this black piece of paper in my windowsill, and I cut out some different shapes out of construction paper to put on them to see what would happen. This morning when I woke up, this is what the paper looked like after I took off the pieces. Do you guys notice anything different about this piece of paper than the first one that I showed you? Right, these areas are much brighter than this area. And the area around, when we see in this circle, it faded because the sun was hitting it directly. And the sunlight caused it to fade. Can we recognize any other shapes that faded? Right, there's a heart that was right here. There was a circle that was right here. And there was a square that was here. And there was this U-shaped piece of paper right here. This happened because I left the piece of paper in a bright spot for a long time in direct sunlight. The area that was covered by the pieces of paper stayed bright and didn't fade because they were not being hit directly by the sun because the piece of paper was covering it. But everything else on the paper faded due to the sunlight. You can try this activity at home by having a black or a dark piece of paper and putting objects on top of it. You'll see that the areas that were exposed to the sunlight will fade, while the areas that you covered with objects will stay a bright color. Thanks for looking at how the sun fades objects, and let's find out about it today. Now let's go back to Miss Khalees.
Alright friends, I hope you enjoyed that activity with Miss Ari. You were able to see that Miss Ari had covered up some pieces of her construction paper, left it out in the sun, and the exposed parts faded over time and the non-exposed parts stayed the same color. So, last video we talked just a little bit how the sun, it does a lot of amazing things for us, right? It gives us daytime, it shines down bright, everyone loves the sunlight. We also talked about how it can be just a little dangerous, right? Maybe if the sun is shining a little too bright and the rays are a little too strong, they can hurt your eyes when you make direct contact into the sun. When you look right into the sun, they can hurt your eyes. So you gotta put on some sunglasses or a brim from a hat. Then we also talked about how the sun can burn your skin. You can get sunburned, so you gotta put on some sunscreen or maybe just stay in the shade a little bit when the sun is shining super bright. Today we learned that the light from the sun can also bleach color, and it can make color a little lighter over time. So not only can it be just a little dangerous to us, it can also be a little dangerous to the clothes we're wearing, right? If you really love a shirt, I really love my red Jumpstart shirt. I really love my red Jumpstart shirt so much, and I don't want it to become dull or faded over time like Max's pants. So maybe we can be a little conscious of that, right? When we know it's a super bright day outside, maybe we say, I'm not going to wear my Jumpstart shirt every single time it's bright outside because I want to keep that color in it. I don't want to bleach it. And maybe that's what Max can do with his dragon shirt. We know Max was supposed to get another pair of pants, but he didn't. Instead, he got his dragon shirt. So maybe Max can think ahead of time and say, I won't wear my dragon shirt on every sunny day because I know over time it'll become more dull, it'll fade, and it'll start to look like his pants. And then Ruby will be very disappointed because not only will Max have disgusting pants, he will also have a faded shirt with that as well. So friends, thank you for coming to Let's Find Out About It with me. I know you all are super ready to get to centers, so I'm just going to let you go on to centers. I hope you enjoy all of the different activities we have planned. Make sure you go and click that video, and I'll see you again at sharing and goodbye, friends.